Welcome to the wonderful world of dodgy movies with your host, movie and TV Mistress. This week, I watched The Wizard of Speed and Time. Say about The Wizard of Speed and Time. Let's see, shall we? Have you ever heard of such a film? Probably not. Have you ever heard of Mike Jittlov? Probably not.
Before Superman, before Rambo, before Pee Wee Herman, there was the Wizard of Speed and Time. An eccentric genius who created a motion picture legend in his own garage. Based upon the true-life adventures of the world's most unknown filmmaker and blown up out of all proportion, this is the classic story of the little guy. Going up against the system, fighting corrupt and evil movie producers, overcoming unbelievable and ridiculous odds, all to win the heart of the girl he loves, and maybe the rest of her as well. Made on the same film stock as Roger Rabbit and Star Wars. Filmed around the world in a special process that is technically unexplainable. You'll see electrifying special effects, laugh at mind-numbingly stupid jokes, and gasp in awe that we actually got big-name stars to be in this. You'll see dancing, romancing, financing, fencing, crowd scenes, chase scenes. This is the motion picture with everything. It's even got the kitchen sink. It's the kind of movie you would make if you didn't have anything better to do. 5 years in the making, 5 days in the theaters. So see it while you can and tell your friends. You've got to be off to see The Wizard. Speeding to a theater near you. Maybe even this one.
Back in 1979, I believe, Mike Jittlov, a director, animator, actor, producer, scriptwriter, pretty much every job going on a film, decided to make a short called The Wizard of Speed and Time. That's not what I watched, just in case you were wondering. He did a short which basically showed his talent as a filmmaker, including his animation and special effects skills. Now, you have to remember that back in the 70s and 80s, we didn't have CGI. You had to do in-camera effects. So there's a whole lot of stop-motion animation and cell animation and other forms of special effects that he uses to make his short. Now, fast forward to 1988, and we have a movie called The Wizard of Speed and Time, a feature-length movie based on the short from 1979. Now, they started making this movie in 1983. And by the time they finished making the movie, certain people who appeared in said movie who weren't famous when they started had become famous. One of them being Philip Michael Thomas, and you're going, who's that? If you watched the original Miami Vice from the 80s, he was Tubbs. And if you're still not sure, it's the other one that's not John Johnson. Okay? This movie is bizarre. I appreciate the skill involved in making a movie like this. I appreciate the animation skill. The rest of the movie, apart from the animation stuff and the special effects that are used to make this movie, the rest of this movie is awful. He won't shake hands. He rides a bike that has the power to electrocute people apart from him. He then rides a suitcase at the end. It's very hard to explain what this movie's about. Basically, though, it's kind of a true life story of Mike Jittlov. Mike Jittlov plays Mike Jittlov. His brother Greg plays Greg Jittlov. His mum plays Mum Jittlov. And apart from the odd famous person you might recognise in this film, it's mostly about Mike Jittlov. Basically, this movie is about the making of The Wizard of Speed and Time. And I'm not talking about the short either. As much as I wanted this to be about kind of like a reenactment of what happened to create the 1979 short, it's not. They keep saying it's for a clip show about special effects, and every time they try and get a clip of another movie, and they mention a whole load of directors, including Spielberg and George Lucas, of course, they're getting turned down. And the only special effects we actually ever see in this movie are Mike Jittlov's. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Mike Jittlov has an issue with Hollywood. That's what I got from this movie. He has an issue because we see him going to every union being told he has to pay this, this and this, and he can't do this unless he's with that union, he can't do this unless he's with this union, and this union, and this union, and it goes on for frickin' ages. And then it turns out he can't do anything unless he's done a union movie to be in a union movie, and he can't get into a union movie without being in the union. That hurts my head, and this movie makes me sad. As a kid, I rented this film. Well, I didn't. My mum probably did. And it was put on. Now, as a kid, when you're a kid, you're not very discerning in regards to the stuff that you watch. And my memory of this film is not about the boring stuff, about Hollywood and the making of a movie and how stop motion animation works and how long it takes. No. My memory of this movie is the speed of time bit where he's running around and across the city after they've animated it all, and it's like, oh, look at him run, woohoo! Which is actually everything from the short from 1979. So as a kid, I just appreciated the special effects. I wasn't paying attention to the story. As an adult who watched this with my husband recently, we both sat there just going, when will it end? And to quote Journey, and the movie never ends, it goes on and on and on and on. Seriously, this movie just keeps going. And then during the credits, they riff on the movie that's taken them 5 years to make. And even if you listen carefully, they even acknowledge the fact, hey, can you believe we got that guy from Miami show? They acknowledge the fact that between them originally filming it back in 1983 and finishing it in 1988, that Philip Michael Thomas became famous.
Hey, did you recognize the guy from Miami?
Everybody was.
They do a lot of other riffs, and there's a little joke about at the very end of the credits, and I really hope it doesn't happen because I do not want Mike Jittlov to force me to watch this movie for eternity. So in the end of the credits, and if you do watch credits, which I happen to do on occasion, sometimes people throw in some random things at the end. So you know that warning that comes up at the end going, no people were harmed, this is a fictitious story, any similarities to people living or dead, etc. Yeah. So there's that. But then underneath, there's a thing about copyright and don't copy it. And if you do, and if you're paying attention and you read the screen, it's written that if you do break the copyright law in regards to this film, you will be made to watch this film in perpetuity for for eternity or something as your punishment. That's evil. He knows that this movie's bad, if he's put that in as a freaking warning to copyright. I don't know anyone who would want to copyright this movie or like pirate it. Seriously. Of course nobody wants to pirate this movie. He's put that joke in because he knows it's awful. But apparently, he has his own little fandom. I did not know this until I looked it up. He has a website. Apparently he goes to conventions. He still doesn't shake hands with people, and he turns up in his green jacket. But I don't know of anything major that he's actually directed. I will say that he was involved with the special effects of the shadow people that drag the bad guy to hell in Ghost. He was involved in those special effects. But apart from that, that's the most famous thing he's actually done. Yes, he has, and there is a clip of it, of this satellite Mickey Mouse thing that he made for a special effect, which was used by Disney Channel for quite a while back in the 80s apparently. And you see a clip of it in this film. And there's lots of amazing animatronic stuff happening around the house. I'll give it to him. He knows his stuff. I appreciate that back then a lot of skill and talent was required to do that sort of animation. But please, don't make movies about making movies that have no... Oh, it's just boring.
Is this your library?
Actually, this is my room. And this is for you.
Oh, thank you.
No, we wanted to thank you for helping us last night.
Would you?
Oh, sure. They're the safest way.
Don't make a movie like this, man. What were you thinking? The short from 1979 was brilliant as a show reel to show your talents. There was no need to lengthen this out to over an hour and a half. I didn't need an hour and a half of this. I highly recommend that you avoid this film unless you want to learn about how to make stop motion animation with a really bad script in the background. Careful what you watch, because I'm not careful, am I? Clearly. Next week I'll have a look through my video collection of dodgy films and maybe surprise you with something a bit more mainstream. Hopefully something that you might have heard of, something not bizarre. Oh wait, no, I need something bizarre, don't I? Well, like I say, be careful what you watch, folks. There is a lot of dodgy films out there. Bye. Oh, before we go, remember, thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and comment, please. Thank you. Bye now.
I beat you here. I'm your cheerleader, remember?
What?
This morning in the car. I gave you the clap.
Oh, yeah.